Okay, guys, we're going to talk about Vampires Never Die. That was one of your readings for the week. And the thing I like about Vampires Never Die is first, Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan both have really good backgrounds to speak on this, and they give us a really nice history of the vampire. But what I particularly like about it is the way they talk about the vampire as a contradiction. So the vampire is both a hero, a romantic hero at that, and also a monster at the same time. And so I wanted you guys to think about, like, how can that be? How can something be both a lover and the villain? They also talk about contradiction with vampires in that the vampire makes us think of our own death at the same time that they make us think about eternal life. So the reason for that, right, is that a vampire could do either. A vampire could kill you, or a vampire could turn you into a vampire, and then you'd be able to, like, live forever. On 332 in your book, they start talking about technology, and this is kind of, I think, the tie-in with Our Zombies Ourselves, which is our other reading for the week, and we're going to talk about that one later too, because it talks about technology too. And Miss Messersmith is here with me today, and she wants to talk about what she likes about this story.
Okay, I like the technology part. And starting with paragraph 13, it says that part of the reason Paul Dowery's Dracula was so successful is because it happened at a time of technical revolution. And this really was the biggest technical revolution before the modern one, before 1990s to current day. I mean, think about it. People had never had railroads before or telegraphs. Electricity was becoming a huge thing. Telephones were coming into existence, cars, and for all time humanity been on earth, they never had any of those things. So if these things are possible, then why can a vampire be possible? And it goes on to talk about H.G. Wells, who's a science fiction writer. He did War of the Worlds in the late 1800s. It was redone, I think, in the 1990s. Tom Cruise played the lead.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And he talks about Wellesian dystopia of dissatisfaction. And what do you think he means by that? Like, what technology have we created that's been destructive to mankind instead of helpful, like the atomic bomb, drones, CCTV, Big Brother watching you all the time? And then when he says that for most people, then the only remote place remains within, know thyself, we do not. There comes a point when you're only living your life for joy that you start wondering if your existence doesn't have more meaning. So, how many of us actually sit down even once a week and start dissecting ourselves and thinking about who we really are and what we really believe, and just take quiet time to try to figure out ourselves? Probably not too many of us. And that's what he says, know thyself, we do not. And then he goes on to say, despite all this technology that we have, we're still vulnerable to our nightmares, the things that we're scared of. So, are we scared of vampires, like Dr. Bradley said, or do we accept them as our lovers? So, it's a two-sided coin there. Um,
Or is it both?
Yes.
I think that we could do both, right? And so one of the things I want you guys to be thinking about and start making notes on before we have to write about this piece is to think about where in pop culture, in movies, do you see that? Have you seen an example of someone who's both the monster and the lover in films, in TVs, in any other examples you can think of? They go back to that example again at the very end on 333 when they make reference to the Greek gods Eros and Thanatos. Eros is the god of love, Thanatos is the god of death. So they're saying that the vampire can be both. So think about those things and try to make some notes on how you see this play out and where you see this in this text. Can you prove using this text that the things that Ms. Messersmith and I have said are true?